outside. It's packed.
There we go. There we go. Hit that like for me, everybody. Let me know you're here. Share the show. Don't be afraid. Let's get ready to go. Okay. All right. Feel free to be a Patreon.
Cash. Green. I mean green cash.
That's right. Ahem. Ahem.
I think people saw that loud and clear.
Okay. Getting close. Get ready. Oh, so close. I'm so excited. Let's just do it. Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Oh, look, Speaker Johnson's number's still up there in case you want to give him a call. 202-225-4000. You know what I'm saying. We called him this morning on the morning show. We're going to call him again on Wednesday. But until then, I do not have time for as full a show as I have. The amount of clips, the stuff that's just available to me in this crazy, crazy day is just, it's impossible. I don't know how else to say it, so we're just going to rush through it. Dickhead, bunch of assholes, incredibly stupid, loser, boring, repetitive talking point that borders on the insane, aging thumb, more bullshit. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. All right, maybe there might be something there that I have to deal with. Aliens and then newspaper. Okay, I think that's it. Good show. Thanks, everybody. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody. Just hit that like on your way out the door, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm just kidding. Okay, I actually won't see you tomorrow. I'm not doing a show tomorrow because I will be in Houston. Because as a belated Valentine's Day trip, Summer and I are going to space camp. No, we're going to, kinda. We're going on a I got us tickets to take her on a tour of this, of the astronaut compound and the mission set up there and stuff, space stuff. We like space stuff. We're NASA kids, and she was from Florida. She went space camp kind of stuff, and so I'm taking her. She was busy on Valentine's Day, so I had to wait. All right. Anyways, hi. Welcome to the show. Let's actually, I'll start some stuff because I actually do want to cover some of this stuff. I'm never going to have enough time. It's just fucking not possible. That said, this, I don't even know. We're just going to dip in on some of these because clearly we won't have enough time for all of these. But I do want to say hi, chat room. First of all, ding, there you are. Oh my God, how you doing? Trying to get to NASA for a while. It's worth doing. If you can't, I recommend going to LA and going to the Space Museum there, right next to the Natural History Museum. It's great. We have a space shuttle. It's a good time. And then yeah, if you ever get a chance, go to DC. DC's got a lot of the sweet stuff from the old days. A lot of the Apollo stuff is there. It's a good spot. Investigation into Joe's, but okay, sorry, I that's a lot of text going very, very fast. I found myself this afternoon talking like Alan Tudyk in the in Resident Alien. I'm like, I am not understanding these stupid people. Yeah, it's a little bit of the aliens from Galaxy Quest as well. You have saved us, ha 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 ha. Yeah. The investigation into Joe Biden's handling classified documents blows up Megaworld's face. Special Counsel Jack Smith uses special counsel reporters Robert Hur's extensive final report to go after Trump. This is just far too perfect. Trump, unlike Biden, is alleged to have engaged in extensive, repeated efforts to obstruct justice and thwart the return of documents bearing classification markings, wrote Assistant Special Counsel David Harbach in a new filing. Yes, that's exactly. Never give up, never surrender. You have saved us. If you haven't seen Galaxy Quest, there are only two things I want to say is you're missing out, and the people behind it need to do Fantasy Quest. They need to do a bunch of like a witch manages to get a special spell book and bring back the greatest wizard of all time, and it's the cast of Harry Potter, and they accidentally bring them back through time with an accidental spell, and none of them know how to cast spells. So they're just bullshitting everyone with cheap magic tricks that they learned while they were on set. Yeah. So I think I'm just saying it could work. All right, now, this one I got to see. This we got to know. This is it sounds like a joke. Well, then obviously Kurt didn't write it. This is according to this woke Seattle Comedy Club bans Kurt Metzger. Oh dear. It couldn't possibly be for low turnout and offensive shitty behavior, or just no draw. Let's see.
So guess what, everybody? There's this comedy place in Seattle. Now, I like Seattle as a city.
You got to give context.
So
you gotta give context. I like Seattle as a city. Based on what? Based on it's a very liberal town because of the money that Starbucks and Google brought, because of all the tax revenue from those two ginormous companies, basically creating a tax net that shoves it ahead of all of its contemporary cities. And it's like, imagine if Portland had a fucking, giant, Google office and Microsoft and Amazon and a port and yeah. Although I will say, if you ever go to Seattle, you have to do the underground tour because the whole city was built like shit and it slid down and buried the old town underneath the mud. And so you can walk down and you're underground, but you're seeing what used to be street level shops, and the windows are there's dirt. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And if you ever want to dive into a really fun, it's not, I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory. It's sort of more of a mythology, but the idea that there was great floods and they weren't that long ago. So it wasn't like 4,000, or 2,000 years ago, Noah's Ark flood. There was like another big flood that was contemporaneous to sort of, I don't know, the late 1800s, something. I don't know. Anyways, yes, amazing oysters in Seattle. That is true, Lindsay. But apparently, like there were giant floods, and then they erased everyone's memory. It's kind of like it's like a mix of like, it's not the alien flashy thing. It's more it's like a biblical myth mixed with alien flashy thing. That's it. Templeton's a rat. Merci beaucoup, Etorien.
I'm gonna give context.
You're leaving out valuable context.
So there's this comedy club called Capitol Hill Comedy / Bar, and
I think they just call it Comedy Bar. I'm guessing. I don't think you pronounce the slash. I think it's just Capitol Hill Comedy Bar, and probably when they don't have comedy there, they just call it like Capitol Hill Bar, and then comedy like Cap Hill Comedy or something like that. The rest of the 3 days a week when they have shows. I'm just spitballing. Fuck what I know. The next time I come to Seattle, I'm doing a theater with sexy. I didn't say anything.
Just a quick prediction: they're not going to be around long.
Why? You don't think the friendship dungeon will turn things around? A friendship dungeon. I'll bet you that's exactly what it says.
So, Kurt,
Jesus Christ. Get over yourself.
did you get this email to you?
By the way, they have a fairly full calendar. I will give them that. This isn't a weekends only place.
Wait, let me set this up.
Where did the email come from?
So I have a bunch of...
Oh, somebody just said, how I found a used DVD at a shop of a movie you did called Lightning Bug. That was directed by my buddy Robert Hall, rest his soul, who was the bass player in my band, who died last year. And that was his directorial debut. And holds a special place in my heart. Good people, good time.
Dates that my manager got me. So I didn't know I had a date at this spot at all.
So
it was out of the blue.
Kurt was booked at this club, unbeknownst to him.
No, I would have found out sooner or later.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Okay, so I'm sitting there, and he texts me. My manager texts me. Now, so the reason I text you was you had just told me your Seattle thing where the agent didn't go.
This is really good so far. I'm wrapped in his attention. I feel like I'm almost like transported into the story. You know what I mean? When you feel it, you can smell the smells, which is unfortunate.
This is crazy, this email. But my manager, he goes, I've never seen a message like this in my entire life.
Oh, so this was a message that was sent to your manager.
Okay, and I didn't understand it even had anything to do with me at first because I just kept seeing Dave Smith's name, okay?
So let me just show this So this was an email sent to Kurt's manager who booked him at this club in October.
He didn't know.
So this was an email sent from the club.
Mm-hmm.
From this club, this is the email.
Okay.
After careful consideration and discussion with our team, investors, local comedians, and neighborhood advocacy groups.
This is very Seattle. I don't know why you're even fucking surprised. You're shocked that's how, I mean, Jesus Christ, that's how Portland is too. Portland and Seattle, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Aren't these places like progressive nests wherein it takes a community, it takes a village to put a show on and you got to get it? I mean, have they not been paying attention? Yeah, I mean, obviously, hashtag rip Portland. I'm sorry to bring it up. That was too soon.
What? We've encountered a challenging situation that requires us to revisit the planned shows. Capitol Hill, that's the neighborhood, and a comedy club, right? Is known for its progressive values. And we receive, and some of those progressive values turn out to be groupthink and censorship. Capitol
Or they just, they're really concerned that somebody who's just offensive for offensive sake and is just kind of thinks being a dick on stage is something you could do in lieu of actual comedy, might actually come up and do a show. Or quite frankly, that it's not even him. That they've heard you reading his jokes on the air, and they're like, those suck. Those Those are terrible.
Hill is known for its progressive values, and we've received significant feedback expressing concerns about the alignment of these upcoming shows with the neighborhood ethos.
Okay, Jimmy, let me just interject, because this is my favorite thing of this. I'm not at all mad at all. This is a gift. When I read this, I go, wait, isn't Capitol Hill where they set up the Chaz? Remember when their neighborhood ethos was they seceded from the Union?
Yes.
For the summer.
So this is in that neighborhood in Seattle where they tried to set up this anarchist kind of 4-block radius.
I didn't know it was back as part of America.
It was a
Okay. First of all, no. No. Not indicative of Capitol Hill in general. That was more of a downtown thing. They took over part of the park over there. It wasn't a neighborhood choice. These are people who moved in. Secondly, it ended because the people of the Chaz killed 2 black kids and covered up the crime. You know, because fuck the police. Yeah, because all cops are bastards. And if they find evidence of our murder in this vehicle, we'll all go to jail, like real jail, not Occupy tent jail. And therefore, we gotta drag the bodies out onto the cement and then just rifle through the car, tear off the like anything all the fabric, everything, just gut it, basically. Yeah, that, progressive values. I'm just saying that was a misalignment.
It's a total joke. They ended up killing a kid.
Yeah, it
Two.
was a joke, except when they killed like 3 unarmed teens. Ironic. It was
Yes.
the most ironic city in the world, it's known as. And,
So let me finish reading this.
They have advocacy groups that weigh in on comedy bookings.
They have advocacy groups that weigh in on comedy bookings.
Of course they do. It's Seattle. It's an LGBT thing, more than likely. And then there's probably some like some class groups that also view themselves as Marxist or something that will kick in. Sometimes it doesn't matter. But other times you tip the scales and they're like, yeah, good point. Fuck this guy.
Adventure.
And the other thing too is you do realize that if you were really, really, really fucking funny, it wouldn't work. They could advocate all the fuck they want and you'd still have the gig.
To say they don't.
This feedback includes concerns from local advocacy groups that are deeply embedded in our demented mental community and work towards upholding its values.
Okay.
First off,
yeah, that's a word that Jimmy's not that familiar with, so it must be weird.
comedy is not about upholding any value except comedy. And what comedy is supposed to poke holes in the status quo and make people uncomfortable.
No, that's what your comedy does. Comedy is supposed to be funny. And humor is about, most of the time, 2 things. Connection and surprise. An instant connection between you and the audience and you articulating something that they're feeling in a way that maybe they just, because they're not a comedian, don't think of it as that. They carry it around like a little stress ball and you come in and you go, actually, it's kind of like this. And everybody goes, oh yeah, it is kind of like that. I thought it was just me, right? That's that one thing. That's the community part of it. And the other part is surprise, where I wasn't expecting somebody to say that or them to say it that way. Neither of those things ever happens with Jimmy. There's a certain element of his audience that gripe together, but it's not because it's based on a like cathartic feeling. It's just kind of disassociative anger and stuff. I suppose, sarcasm posing as comedy. But in his defense, this is his wacky face he's making. So you know that this is rock solid. He's a professional comedian. They're doing stand-up comedy, which, by the way, if you don't know, is his show on a stage in front of a crowd.
That's the best form of comedy. That's Lenny Bruce.
No. By the way, go watch Lenny Bruce's feelings about obscenity. Just go Go watch the last movie he made, the last video of him performing. It was film. So the last film of him before he died, arguing about why he was getting arrested and his idea of it was all a big misunderstanding. But he'll go to Carlin next because he thinks he's Carlin.
George Carlin?
Right, he thinks he's George Carlin. So when Jimmy says George Carlin, he means himself. Because you know that bit, the big Jimmy Dore bit about that kind of it's like about a topic and it kind of sums up the whole topic. Like you know how like Carlin has that thing about stuff. And you're like, wow, that bit is really just a whole thing about stuff. And it's so masterfully written. You know, and Jimmy has that bit that's about the yeah, I got nothing. I think it. I was gonna say it's actually a bit that doesn't exist. It's still Kurtz.
That's Bill Hicks. That's Sam Kinison.
No. Also, Sam Kinison was honest in what he felt. He wasn't just fucking with people. He wasn't just going up there to counter the status quo for the sake of it. He was talking about moments of where the heart of society is disassociated from what it's actually doing, and that seems incongruous. That's not the same thing as just going up there to offend people for the sake of it.
That's Don Rickles.
Boomers.
It's not Don Rickles. Don Rickles is literally there letting a valve off about racial tension to a mixed crowd all the time. That's what he's doing. And he can get away with it because he looked like a frog.
Oh, you mean boomers? Jimmy, the comedy doesn't even figure in. Upholding its values, they shit on the sidewalk there.
I know.
You have. I mean, but the thing is, this
let's
all
finish
made up.
reading
Okay.
this.
Right. So if they can shit on the sidewalk, you should be able to shit on the stage.
Given the feedback and to avoid any potential negative impact on both our club and the artists involved, as well as to maintain the harmony within our community, we believe the most responsible course of action is to not move forward with the shows for Dave Smith.
Well, I get it. He's a scumbag racist.
So
Dave Smith doesn't align.
Dave Smith.
Luis Gomez.
Dave Smith, who's the anti-war guy who just dismantled people about their support for the genocide in Gaza. That guy.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's a great bit. The dismantling people for their support of the genocide in Gaza. I can see. Yeah, it just sounds like it's really a kumbaya comedy. It's the great equalizer. That's what comedy is. You know what I mean? Takes a uncomfortable thought and makes it comfortable, and that's what makes you uncomfortable is that you're laughing along with something you can't believe you believe. Is it weird that he doesn't seem like he's describing comedians at all? I had no problem with people fucking stand on a street corner with a fucking bullhorn, but don't call it comedy.
Well, I bet you they're not familiar with that work. They probably know him from the Legion of Skanks podcast.
So then also Luis J. Gomez. Now, I'm not totally familiar with who he is.
So he must be a real comic then.
Well, I would say he's the ringleader of this group.
Okay. Okay.
Big J. Wait, where's Big J?
So hang on.
Are these all his? I guess these are all his manager's clients. So his manager kind of specializes in unfunny dicks. Is that the idea?
So then,
Jay wasn't even on it.
Jim Florentine.
I don't know why he got grouped in.
I don't understand. And
because I've done shows with Jim. Jim is very Trumpy, and he does some writing, but a good portion of what he does is more commentary than comedy sometimes. I mean, I don't know what his full hour's like, but that's, having done shows with him, that's where I would go. I don't think he's an unfunny guy, and I don't agree with him politically, and I don't find him offensive per se, but I can see why if they had issue with any of these other, that's probably where it came from.
it says, sadly, Kurt Metzger.
Yeah, it was a deep cut. That's why I have sympathy for her, because she didn't want to do it.
This decision was not made lightly, and we want to ensure it does not reflect on your talent and the quality of your work, but it reflects on how mental we are at this comedy club and how mental our community is and how demented and ridiculous a comedy booker thinks that they have to consult outside advocacy groups to let her know how to book her own comedy club.
Well, the weird thing is like, why would you want to perform at a club with those kind of rules? If if you're paid to stand, if you're being paid to stand on their stage, they can either pay you to do your show, or you can say, if they give you any rules about your show, just like doing a college gig or a daytime gig at a park, you're not going to do the same gig you do on a late night Friday. And if you are, there's something fucking wrong with you. So say no. Get together with those guys and fill a theater.
Comedy
right.
clubs are not supposed to be a safe space.
Yeah, they are. They're a safe space for comedy. That said, the club gets to set its tone. If you have a clean club, I'm not going to play there. It's just not going to happen. And if you book me accidentally and you're like, oh, we just found out he swears during a show, we got to cut him loose. Because that's what their club is, because they build a clientele based on that. Cool. Maybe this community ain't so good with comedy. Maybe they're a little edgy about it. Maybe they take shit very sensitively and they're just putting their toe back in the comedy. They're not ready for, the real shit yet, They're a light beer crowd. They're not ready for the hot shot of heroin.
Comedy clubs are
mansplain it now.
I'm going to mansplain it.
Thanks. Oh, boomer mansplanation coming through.
People don't want to go to a comedy club.
Why are the advocacy groups women? Is that why it's mansplaining? Or is the woman who owns the club, is that what it is? That's why it's mansplaining? I mean, it sure isn't comedy splaining.
Club and feel like they have the same ethos they do when they go to an office, when they go to work. They go to comedy clubs to be free of that shit.
I know.
Right, but I think a lot of these folks that go to this thing probably want to be able to laugh kind of at a generalized humor. They're leaning in stuff that's not political or doesn't touch any real hot topics, and are just looking for more pedestrian comedy because the rest of their time, let's say they run a lot of advocacy groups, and they're already like dealing with this shit all the time. So they'd rather come in there and get their laugh on about fucking what is the deal with Hot Pockets. Fine, it's their club, and if you're gonna come in there and just like, it's the trans, that's the problem, and they're not having it, that's on you. Find another fucking venue. You're not being canceled.
You would think people that shit on the sidewalk would understand freedom.
So it keeps.
I don't think they're the same people. I don't. If they're selling tickets and they're going to refund them, they're not selling them to the people who shit on the sidewalk.
Going. We will also ensure that any tickets sold are refunded promptly to our patrons, and we will communicate the decision to them with the sensitivity and respect. So
that's what I'm doing.
Any comedy club wrapped up in words like sensitivity and community values, and that's not a real comedy club. They're cosplaying comedy, and what they're doing.
It's always a projection, isn't it, kids?
Doing is practicing groupthink. Because if you go outside their groupthink, no matter how funny you are,
no, I think it does matter, and I think also funny does. Again, I don't believe there's a single topic. I've never had a problem joking about any topic. I've only walked I've walked like 3 people in the last 20 years, and the last one was La Jolla, I think the comedy store down there, where a drunk lady inverted what I was saying, totally thought, and the rest of the audience was very confused because they were like, no, he's saying that in a character voice, ma'am. And she's like, fuck you, bastard. And she fell down. It was very funny. It gave me 20 minutes of free shit. But in general, I don't really have a problem. I think anybody who's watched my show, especially the improv shows at Flappers, is there a topic that I've shied away from because I'm like, ugh? or that the audience got uptight about when I covered it. No, because I'm funny. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's, again, controversy is not comedy. You don't get points for just being edgy. And Jimmy and Kurt think you do. It's not their fault you're not laughing. It's your fault. You just don't understand how funny their rantings are. That's what this is. And I'm bored of them already. But I like you guys. Hi, chat room. Shall we move on to someone else who thinks they're victimized? I mean, the snowflaking that's going on right now is fucking ridiculous. By the way, like, subscribe, share the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Cup of coffee a month. I mean, what do I deserve? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think his show's worth? There's the Venmo over there. If you're like, hey, that's a good point. He makes a good guy. I like him. I like his point. That's good. You know what? Okay. Here's $6.66. Whatever works. And if you can't afford to, please just share the show, do all the free stuff, subscribe while you're at it. And I'll show you another. Here's Jimmy's buddy, Colonel Sanders. Glenn Beck apparently is this guy, George Soros, who, this is a young picture of him, by the way, is attacking radio. Oh, no. Now, if you'll recall, maybe some of you recall, some of you might remember that Bain Capital, famously owned by Mitt Romney and co., started buying up progressive and liberal radio stations years ago and turning them into K156 The Patriot. And they would lose money. They made money when they were liberal talk, but they would start losing money immediately as soon as they became right-wing talk. But they didn't care because to them it was like an investment. Because if they could, undermine, people's belief and function in government or I guess run ads for a tax cut, to them it was like an ad for money they'll make elsewhere, right? So this is apparently, I don't know, maybe Soros is buying up talk radio or AM radio, because Trump was bitching about AM radio too. Let's see.
I'm going to give you a mile marker. I feel like part of my job is...
Job. It's a job, is it? Do your knees hurt? Yeah, it's a job. You have a career. You own that business. Fuck off with the job. All right.
To inform you.
Oh, well then, you're fired.
What direction are we going in? And
yeah, tell us. Yeah, that's what I always tune in for. What the fuck is going on? I'll ask Glenn, what direction are we going? Let me guess. I think I have an idea. The wrong one.
how fast are we going?
Oh, well, obviously nobody tunes in to see if we're going the wrong direction. Of course we're going the wrong direction. Have you been to a restaurant lately? It's so full of people. Don't they know that America is in the shit tubes of hell?
Let me give you a couple of stories here that are...
Yeah, a couple of anecdotal stories, and it'll prove to you that things are going to hell.
Gravely concerning.
Look, I just had the gunk that was going around. I had it for a couple days, Glenn. I've had 2 gunks in the last probably 8 months, mainly because of exhaustion. But you sound like this more often than not. I would maybe find somebody to hook a vacuum up to your face.
I told you last week the Soros Fund Management, run by billionaire George Soros and
it's aptly named
his son, have now taken control or are on the verge of taking control.
Yeah, what's the difference? Have taken control, on the verge of taking control. I mean, what's the difference? Time, facts, things actually happening.
Of Odyssey. Odyssey is the second largest radio broadcaster in America. Only iHeartRadio owns more.
Uh-huh.
And thank God, at this point, iHeartRadio has the premier radio networks. I've worked for this company in one way or another since 1989. They are my partner with this broadcast, and they have been always very, very supportive. If it wasn't for my partners, Julie Talbot and Dan Metter and all of
Fabulous. I'd like to thank the Academy for this. Oh God, what an asshole!
the people at iHeartMedia, this show wouldn't be heard anywhere.
It wouldn't. So now I know who to write letters to. Thanks.
So iHeart is the only one right now not under attack, and I'll tell you about this. First, Odyssey.
First of all, not under attack. When the fuck did you guys start giving a shit about hostile takeovers of companies?
Amassed $1.9 billion in debt. They filed for bankruptcy. And now Soros is taking on the fund, and they...
Okay, so they were attacked right when they were about to make a big comeback. How much? What did he say? $1.9 billion? They're not under attack, asshole. They're being salvaged. Hold on.
In debt.
Hold on. Say wait. How much?
Odyssey amassed $1.9 billion.
So obviously, this is a... So what you're telling me is it's a conservatively run station, that conservatives obviously run Odyssey, that this is a bastion of conservative radio, and it's run by fiscal conservatives, probably ex-members of the House Freedom Caucus. $1.9 billion in debt. And they're being bought at fire sale prices?
In debt. They filed for bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm. And then the attack came.
And now Soros is taking on the fund, and they will be the largest shareholder once the bankruptcy proceedings conclude.
Okay, so he's not just buying it outright and flipping it and turning it into, Marxist radio network.
Where are we?
Honest to God, I don't know. I thought for the longest time you were in Utah because of your religion shopping and deciding to become a Mormon because the men get a planet after they die was apparently your decision. But I think you're in Texas now, and that's why the power flickers occasionally.
They're dismantling radio.
To find out why it's broken, dismantling it. It was dismantled, you dumb motherfucker. Why? How are they? What? How is this their fault? $1.9 billion in debt, and he's dismantling it? What the fuck?
And buying radio up.
Huh?
Now, Soros has already bought, last year? I think 50 radio stations that were all Spanish-speaking.
Uh-oh. Probably saying, bienvenidos a Estados Unidos. El border is open.
Gee, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because they were cheap, I'm guessing. And also because the Republicans were talking about, we're going to start tailoring our message in Spanish to people.
Now he's buying up the...
Well, buying up. Buying up, I mean, he's down at the junkyard. I don't say he's buying it up. I think it's a bit of a fixer-upper, don't you think? He's flipping this station. It's this old radio network.
Second largest broadcaster.
Well, with the largest debt? Again, what?
In America. Odyssey owns 220 stations.
Apparently not.
News Talk.
Uh-huh.
In New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, all of some of the biggest news talk stations in the country.
Well, I mean, they kind of own them. I mean, they own the debt of all of them, I suppose, right?
They own the radio stations, including KDWN AM in Las Vegas, PA.
Oh, shit.
HT, Philadelphia, KDKA in Pittsburgh. They have Dana Lash on many of their stations.
Not for long.
They have Sean Hannity.
Not anymore. Wait a minute. Sean Hannity is now on the Soros network? I fucking knew it. He's been a mole for the Marxists forever.
They have Mark Levin.
Mr. Producer? Mr. Producer, why are you wearing that fur hat with the red star in it? Mr. Producer, where are you going? Mr. Producer! Mr. Producer, why are the lights going out? Mr. Producer! Roll the tape! Mr. Producer!
And George Soros has spent
owns them all. Right.
More than $21 billion over the last few decades. He spent $1.3 billion in 2022 alone. Most of that cash went to left-wing causes, including Media Matters, Planned Parenthood, the Sunrise Movement.
Yeah, why are those left-wing? I'm dead serious. Left-wing would be like Marxism and socialism, the idea that they're going to change the economic or political structure of a country, but fucking environmentalist causes are not left-wing. Why the fuck would they be? Maybe you think the solutions are part of it, but and also I'm curious. Why would Planned Parenthood be a left-wing cause? Especially considering how you like, all you assholes say Sanger was doing this as a way of just wiping out black people. I don't know what makes that left-wing. I don't know. Figure it out for me.
He's the guy who has put in the radical DAs and the radical attorney generals.
A couple of them, and a couple of them been drummed out. Again, you can get them elected, but you can't keep them there.
And now, what?
You're next, Glenn. He's going to buy the Blaze. Oh, no. Glenn? Who has been snatching up Blaze memberships left and right? He owns stock in the Blaze. Look out!
He's buying up talk radio.
Well, I mean, at fire sale prices, I mean.
Why would you do that?
Because it's cheap, I think. It's because you can buy, I guess, $2 billion worth of shit for probably half that.
Why would you buy all of these broadcasts? It seems...
I don't know. Ask iHeart why they bought all these fucking stations. Ask Premier Networks why they bought all these fucking stations.
It's like it's a failing industry, right? It's not.
No. Nothing says success like $1.98 billion in debt. Yeah. Hashtag winning.
It's not.
Did you say it's not? Because that's what it sounds like.
About 80% of the people still listen to radio.
Yeah. You do realize there's a lot of different kinds of radio. There's like local sports and national sports, and there's AM light rock. And there's Delilah on Friday nights. She still do that shit. There's wave jazz, which you can sing gibberish Michael McDonald over any of it. If you just find some wave jazz and just start going, hickey bonny gurgy boogie hongin naked long holding on. It works. It just always fits. It's weird, but it's there. There's rock stations. There's your classic rock stations and morning show with Larry, Sarah, and the Skeeter. And there's afternoon drive time with the Fickle Bunch and with Clarice the ex-playmate doing the weather and traffic. Right?
80%.
Yes, 80% of people have a radio in their car still. It plays lots of stations.
That's incredible. You think nobody listens to the radio.
Well, no, I mean, that's what you would think because you have a radio show that no one listens to. I'm only on Saturdays on one station, and I get stopped all the time when I'm in Chicago. People are like, oh, yeah, I love your show. I'm like, oh, thank you very much.
80% still listen to the radio.
Music, mostly. Sirius, satellite radio. There's AM, FM. What are you talking about?
Okay, so that
Not okay.
is the second largest broadcaster, now going to George Soros.
Well, it might. It's as far as assets. I don't know that it's actually from a profitability standpoint. It's the it's ass.
Then we have this.
Uh-oh.
Cumulus.
Oh no, not Cumulus. Those are my favorite kinds of clouds.
Cumulus used to be the ABC radio network. It used to be the
But nobody could spell it, so they changed the name. Yeah, I remember.
largest. Now I think it is the third largest.
Well, I would put it as second largest because I think the other one that's in debt to $2 billion is probably below. I don't know what's the standard of your list? Am I the only person who thinks this is fucking lunacy? Like, not only is this asshole sounding like shit on the radio for one, and I know guilty as charged, but I work for a living. This asshole has fill-ins. He's got like 5 other hosts that could fill in whenever he's feeling snotty. I do not. Secondly, he's just bitching about he's going to have to probably pay fees to be on iHeart soon. That's what he's complaining about. And this is all going to be a sales pitch to get people to join the blaze. God damn it. Y'all be there, holding on.
Cumulus is facing a takeover from an investor based in Singapore.
Dun, dun. Oh, that sounds foreign. Yikes.
Part of the process of their bankruptcy, it has.
So is every radio network on the list in bankruptcy? Are they all 80% of people still listen to radio, but just turn off the commercials? Why the fuck? Why are the number How far is the okay? If the number one spot, does anybody? What? Why are the second? Why are they both? What is this? What are you talking about? It's like everything he brings up is going out of business, and someone is swooping in. These disaster capitalists
asked for and received from the FCC permission to become as much as 100% foreign owned.
Done.
So the third largest broadcaster
by debt. Honestly, what I need to know what you mean. I need to know what this list is because I feel like you're going to get to the first and say that everybody there has committed seppuku.
Is about to go to a Singapore holdings company. How does this bid for America?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Singapore is not Marxist, but I think it's just where the offshore rich people put their money. I'm going to go. It sounds like Russia's buying it.
You have George Soros.
Do you?
And a Singapore company.
Yeah, what's the difference? You know what I mean?
And then iHeart, all alone.
All alone. All alone.
But don't worry.
I'm not. I feel pretty good.
News for radio gets even better. Yesterday, Brendan Carr, he's an FCC commissioner, he came out and said the FCC has just ordered every broadcaster to start posting a race and gender scorecard that breaks down the demographics of their workforce. Activists lobbied for this because they want to see businesses pressured into hiring people based on their race and gender. Courts have already overturned the FCC twice for pressuring broadcasters into making hiring decisions in violation of the Constitution. I dissent.
Yeah, we know you're not going to be hiring any black people at the Blaze anytime soon. We've seen the lineup. Yeah, we've seen. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen all the shows. I'm pretty sure at some point the round tables.
This is a shot across our bow now.
That's right. We will not and must not arrest all right.
If the Supreme Court doesn't stop them again,
they're going to make us hire black people. Boo fuckity who.
We will now, if I want to be on radio, have to disclose, by the way, I don't have a problem doing this. I'm almost 2% Native American, so I'm a minority inside of a minority. Anyway.
Fuck off.
We have to start hiring based on gender and everything else. I don't.
No, you don't. It's that you won't get special breaks from the FCC. Just saying that's what that's going to be about. They can't force anybody to hire based on a principle. But if you're trying to get you're licensing the public airwaves, the public has a say in those airwaves. So that's why they would want to know in general if you're running a little mini storm front over there in Austin.
Care what, male, female. I don't care who you sleep with.
Sure about that?
I don't care what color you are. Really don't.
Not enough to help you if you've been discriminated against for being that color ever, certainly.
I want to know what's inside of your head.
That's why I have a spoon.
I want to know how you think.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out with you, dude. I would say, clean up your own goo nest upstairs before.
Can you bring something different that I don't bring to the table?
Yes, almost anyone can bring cogent thought, logic, reason, empathy, baseline high school reading comprehension. How far do you want me to go?
That's how I hire.
Yeah, that's how you got Stu and Pat. You went, what? There's something they can bring to the table that I can't, and that is listening to me. That's one thing I can't do to myself. That's the sad part, is that sometimes I wish I'm so great at talking, I wish I could just listen to myself talk while I do it, but I can't. So I hire other people to nod and smile.
Can you fit what your different thinking is into what I'm trying to accomplish?
What do you mean, intellectual homogeny? Probably not.
If you can, great.
Yeah, great. Just stop being, Hispanic, and we're good.
We're going to work together forever. Most of the people that I work with, and I apologize for this, spend their life working with me. Because we have...
Certainly feels that way.
Yeah, because we have a...
Sometimes a little truth squeaks out.
A good working relationship. We all respect each other. Again, except for Stu. This is really... And let me give you another one. This is not about radio.
Oh, great. Good time to change topics since you haven't convinced us of the first point.
Vice Media stops publishing on Vice.com.
Yeah, they went bankrupt too.
Slashes hundreds of jobs amid mainstream media death spiral. So all of these mainstream media companies.
Okay, Vice isn't mainstream media, motherfucker. The entire structure of Vice was based on them being alt media. For fuck's sake, the most mainstream thing about them is that they got their documentary run on HBO, for fuck's sake, which is premium cable. What the fuck is wrong with you?
They're all... Did you hear about CBS and Catherine Herridge? How do you say her name? Heritage, right? I can't remember. Anyway, worked with her.
Doesn't matter. It's a chick. She runs something, does things. You know what I mean? She's, women in business, whatever.
At Fox, we were obviously very close. But she's very, very credible. She's worked. I don't agree with her.
Oh, she was one of the conservatives that worked at CBS that got broomed with a bunch of other people because they were basically just being Trojan horses for stories from the other side, because they got caught basically being fed puff pieces from the Trump campaign and anti-Biden, anti-Hunter Biden shit, and
all the time. But
she got kicked to the curb with a bunch of other people.
She's an actual journalist, and CBS News, they just threw her out. She's gone. Now they're saying that's because, we've laid, lots of people off recently because we're collapsing.
That's their argument for themselves.
Yeah, we're collapsing.
All right, I'm bored. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done. This is the whinging. Is that the entire message for today? Is it just people like these motherfuckers just whining all the time? Come on, give me something I can sink my teeth into. Like Unity, Masons, and aliens. Okay. Flashpoint at NRB. Unity, Masons, and aliens. Alan Dildo and Eric Stackleback stab in the back. This is Didio, but it looks like Dildo, and I'm sticking with it. I don't care. So, if I may, you're welcome, Treva. I just, So, Unity, Masons, and aliens. Okay, first of all, I am not an alien, but I am a Mason, for the record. Also, I think it's nice. Look at this context. Somebody put context under this. Freemasonry. Encyclopedia Freemasonry, the teaching and practice of the secret fraternal order of free and accepted Masons, the largest worldwide secret society. Not a secret society. We're not a secret society. We're a society with secrets. It's different. Because if we were a secret society, you wouldn't know about us at all. You just don't know the stuff inside because that's the point. Spread by the advance of the British Empire, remains most popular in the British. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, but apparently, devil worship, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, we're to blame for Lanny Walnuts' shitty toupee, I guess. That's it, yeah. I'm sorry.
Always good to talk to you. Tell me what's the latest. I know you got a new TV program. Talk about that. But you just got back from Israel. Talk about that.
Gene, big eye-opener to be there. Obviously, my first time there since the October 7th massacre. And two big takeaways, I think. Number one.
That's what I always say. I always follow up massacre with two big takeaways.
The people of Israel are resilient, Gene. I was struck by the unity and the purpose, the mission, and the attitude was, look, the Biden administration is against us. We're fighting with one arm tied behind our back. The UN, the EU, they're...
By the way, I like to remind everybody that the Genocide Joe crowd and those motherfuckers, this is how the right talks about this. This is the message that they're getting or putting out either way. One side, Joe is doing everything he can to destroy every Palestinian and wreck the chances of a Palestinian state and da-da-da-da, and he just wants to murder everyone. Although, again, I don't know how you drop 44,000 bombs on the most densely populated piece of real estate on Earth with, 2.4 million people in it and manage to only have 29,000 dead max, which is the Hamas number. And no matter what bomb goes off where, even after you send in messages to clear buildings, somehow, some way, it's always half kids, half children, always half children. It's almost as if the Hamas fighters take children with them and use them as human shields. Isn't it? That's weird. Anyways, never mind this dickhead. He'll get to the point, hopefully.
Pressuring us, but you know what? We're going to finish the job. We're going to see this through. We're fighting a demonic evil. We must finish the job.
And by the way, these assholes want Putin to be able to win in Ukraine at the same time. They don't give a fuck about Ukraine. The irony.
Defeat Hamas. Secondly, Gene, the north. While all this action is unfolding in Gaza to the south, to Israel's north along the Lebanon border, I'm sad to say that a major war is looming there against Hezbollah, another Iranian proxy, which is much more powerful.
It's looming. It is looming. That's the part. It's one thing, if it actually happens, but the looming part, that's what gets to me.
Than Hamas.
Absolutely.
So the other shoe's going to drop probably sooner rather than later. That's my two big takeaways.
So,
Hamas, Jesus Christ. Hezbollah has been attacking during this entire time, off and on. Israel has been retaliating off and on during this time. It's a pissing contest, and Iran doesn't want Hezbollah to go all in on it. That's the general scuttlebutt as far as the intel on the area. He's talking out of his ass.
let's talk about Iran.
Yeah, let's talk about it, Gene, the Jesus machine.
Are you still seeing their involvement in all of this with Hezbollah?
No, they packed it up. Yeah, they decided after, planning for decades to control militias as proxy through the idea. through the entire area, through the Middle East. They just decided after October 7th to just call it a day.
Absolutely, the hand behind it all, Gene. I call him the head of the snake, the Iranian regime in Tehran. Look, October 7th wouldn't have happened without Iran. That's number one. Number two, Hezbollah wouldn't exist without the Iranian regime. At least 150,000 rockets and missiles at their disposal, pointed at every inch of Israel, which, quick reminder for everyone, is the size of the state of New Jersey. But Iran is pulling the levers there, Gene, and if Iran says go, Hezbollah will go.
So they haven't said go yet. So is there a reason why, Mr. Intel on the ground, or let me guess, you were a journalistic tourist there for fucking the Kenneth Copeland network, and you just hung out with a bunch of the Israeli neocons?
So right now it's a tinderbox there on that Lebanon border.
Eric.
By the way, I was just saying, if a single bomb went off near a tinderbox, the whole box would go up.
It's surprising to me, but yet there's still a large contingency across America that thinks a two-state solution is really the answer. Do you believe that?
I don't. And Gene, it's interesting because it's completely tone deaf on the part of the Biden administration. We see Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, this so-called shuttle diplomacy back and forth Israel. Europe, same deal. Completely out of touch with the reality on the ground in Israel. Gene, even is
this is the current state of Christian media. I would also like to say they are shitting on the Biden administration for still attempting to manage the possibility of a two-state solution. By the way, this video has 27,000 views. It's been up for 3 days, and they've got 681,000 subscribers. I am spitting in the wind dealing with some of these assholes, so please subscribe if you feel like it, and share the show and the like.
Israelis in the middle, even maybe leaning left right now, are not thinking about a Palestinian state in any shape, form whatsoever.
Yeah, they are. They're talking about largely a West Bank version, with Gaza being an occupied territory and then managed as people from the West Bank come over and kind of stabilize, and the Palestinian leadership step down, and that's what they've been trying to make actually happen. Adults. But that's not what we're talking about here.
So the West is completely out of touch on this, and I don't believe Netanyahu will ever agree to it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's talk about your new program that's out on TBN. Explain what that is.
Stackleback Tonight, Gene.
Stackleback Tonight.
Stackleback Tonight. You won't forget.
That sounds great. It's weird. Stackleback Tonight. Is it on every night or just once?
Get that last name, but launching every Monday through Friday night on TBN. And, we had the Watchmen show weekly on TBN, Gene, for the past 8 years. So much is going on in the world. You're doing such a great job covering it here on Flashpoint and the Victory Channel. As you know, so much is going on. We said, we got to do this every night.
Yeah, we got it. I can't keep going back to Israel and listen to this bullshit. I don't even like the food.
We'll focus still. Israel, Middle East will be a big focus. China, Russia, all that kind of geopolitical stuff. But in America, which, Gene, again, you do such a great job covering, the stakes here. I mean, the stakes are high this year now more than ever. You and I were talking.
Yeah, Gene and everybody, they go out for steaks every night, talking about how the country sucks right now and that the Ukrainians have it too good. And yeah.
Off camera. Sure. Hey, it's do or die 2024. This is the time. So we felt like this was the time to launch this new program.
All right, so what time will it be on?
7:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, every night.
All right, so there you go. And, here's the thing. A lot of people, it was actually at NRB where we found out TBN was launching Centerpoint. And, people say, oh, does that upset you? And like, no, we don't. Everybody needs to come together. It's a big job. We all have to work.
Oh, he's getting bumped out of his time slot. Oh, I wish there was one of those. I need one of those industry insider newspapers where we can read about the goings-on behind Flashpoint. Okay, I don't need to listen to this dickhead go through this whole thing. I don't know who he is. That's Tim Barton from Wall Builders. Does he build wheels, too?
Praying in the snow at Valley Forge. True? Untrue?
That is not true. So there was accounts that came out after Washington's death.
Wait.
The best to you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Well, I heard this week on the news that there's debate now that I've never heard before that George Washington there's no record of him ever praying in the snow at Valley Forge. True? Untrue?
That is not true. So there was accounts that came out after Washington's death where there was a Quaker, his name was Isaac Potts, that he'd seen Washington kneeling in the snow. And the two accounts that came out, one, Isaac Potts was a...
Oh, okay, also, who gives a rat fuck? It's about a painting of him kneeling in the snow, so people are supposedly debating this, and this guy, no, it really happened. First of all, of course he prayed all the time.
Loyalist, and one, he was a patriot. And so the two accounts are slightly different, but basically the same story, that he was walking to his house one day, heard somebody out in the woods, wanted to go in.
Hey, who's the guy with the wooden teeth over there praying with one knee in the snow? You're gonna get your knickers all damp.
Investigate, because it's wartime, he didn't know who it was, and he saw it was the commander of the American forces praying. He stayed and listened to the prayer for a little bit. He gets up and goes back to his house. When he gets to his house, this is where the account mostly differs. The one where he's a patriot, he goes in rejoicing and tells his wife, it's over, the war's over, it's over. And she says, what are you talking about? He says, we're going to win the war. And she says, what do you mean? He said, I just saw the commander of the American forces praying. When a man prays like that, his prayers are going to be answered. This war is over, it's over.
That's a very weird thing to say. I think that sounds like a story that came along in the 20s.
It's all over. Well, the second account, he's a loyalist.
The 1920s, I should specify, because there was another 20s between.
And he goes in and he's very distraught. He says, it's over. It's all over. And the same scenario, but one is...
Fucking, and that's journalism for you. Fake news. Fake news. All right. Get to the Masonry stuff. Oh, look, there's Laney Walnuts.
So the Isaac Potts story, which really became the famous Washington kneeling in prayer, that's where...
Blah, 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 blah.
It's not rooted in historic documents.
Blah, 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 blah.
Have always had an influence historically in the country. But the nature of the Masonic teaching or involvement, I think, has been
check yourself, asshole.
Been exaggerated or misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
By a lot of 21st century Pentecostals who are looking at human sacrifice, etc., as being what's done. I remember.
Yeah, there's no human sacrifice. I mean, I can. Obviously, I guess technically if it was a secret, I wouldn't be able to tell you anyways, but I'm not allowed to lie about it. I'm just allowed to not say anything.
My dad was a Mason, and part of my evangelism strategy was to expose his Satanism, and he thought I lost my mind. That's when I
yeah. I'm sure.
Realized maybe I'm not getting the best theology from Jack Chick. Yeah. But Finney certainly refused to be a Mason after he looked at the whole business of secret oaths and stuff. But it's worth going there. I mean, we're not trying to put rose-colored glasses on about the origin of our nation. There was a Masonic influence, but what could you tell us about that, or what do you know about it in terms of what?
Oh boy, you can just feel me getting wound up. Yeah, they're shitting it. Let me explain something to you. There's been a strategy to shit on Masonry since the mid-'70s, specifically. I mean, it went back before that, largely in the 60s, as you had people trying to sort of, you like radical anti-society activists who were like, we need to tear the whole dirty thing down. And they've been attacking Masonry ever since, because the idea is that, Masonry can't make bad men good, but it makes good men better. And men need, I think, ethical structure in a way that women don't necessarily. The idea is that the reason why there's not Masonry is not, doesn't exclude women, it's for men, because women don't need it. Women are matured by their biology, by the coming of their period, their ability to have children, the limited window by which they can have children safely, the loss of that ability, and sort of the arc of life and social structure in that. There's a lot, right, that automatically does it. A man can make a baby from the time he first ejaculates to when he's keels over at 90, and that kind of randomness in our ability needs a little guidance, as it were, a little more uniform guidance, So Masonry's been around specifically for that reason, right? Because men, like, we need more, corralling than the ladies do. There you go. So if that just helps, this is generalization. And the other reason why they hate it is because it is secular. It is, while it is, you have to believe in in something beyond this life. It's pretty broad in what you can believe. You can be a universalist and a deist, or you can be a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Buddhist or whatever. But the idea is that you believe there's something beyond this life. That's kind of the only prerequisite. And the interesting thing is that inside the lodge, you can't discuss religion and politics. You're not allowed to. It's that lesson of like, put that shit outside and come together as humans. And the other thing too is you'll see a lot of skull imagery in Masonry. And one of the reasons you'll see skull imagery is because if you lift up someone's skull after they're dead, you can't tell whether they were a conservative or a liberal or any of that kind of stuff. The only thing you'll have left over from that you'll know from this skull is the person's name and what they did during their life, the meaningful positive things they did or the damage they did. That's what it sticks around. Not, you can't just look at the skull and tell if somebody was bad, right? If you know who the person was, then you know their character. And the character is what outlives you more than your bones, is the point. So your character is more important than your bones, but we're all the same because we're all going to be a pile of bones one day. And there's a respect for that, right? Okay, so that in general, that's where the root of why it was necessary and why it was actually very helpful for society. There's a reason why, though, the Alex Joneses of the world and these dickheads try to tear it down, because the idea of religious pluralism and respect for it and democracy is antithetical to the type of monarchical belief system that these assholes have. And then, of course, the anti-democratic stuff that the maggots have and the sort of sovereign citizen bullshit, and I would say faux sovereign citizen bullshit that you see from Alex Jones's crowd, right? That it's this God-given right to not give a fuck, whatever, that kind of idea. And they hate the idea that Masonry used to just prove that men that had differences of opinion could still sit peacefully across from each other and share a meal and come to oops, shit, look at that.